Okay, so I set up a meeting with myself so I can show you some of the features that it has in Zoom. So first of all, I talked about if you had set up a waiting room. So for this meeting, I set up a waiting room. So you can see when I enter the meeting, I press that start meeting and I started my audio and my video. Now I have down here manage participants. It says that somebody is waiting. So I can click on this and I can see all the people that are waiting, and I have to click admit for each of them to join. So you'll see a bunch of people popping up here, and you'll just keep pressing admit so you can see all of them. Now that I have my participants, I can see them, so I can change it to either speaker view. Speaker view is going to highlight whatever student is speaking at that time. So it'll kind of jump between different screens depending on what students are speaking. Or you can click gallery view. Gallery view will show you a tile view of all the students. You can see all of them at one time. That's specifically helpful if you're using like students raising their hands, which we use in my classroom. Now, let's see. So we'll go through some features. So next to the video, we'll show you some video features. You can choose a virtual background. I talked a little bit about that. So it'll automatically be set to none. But if your computer is able to, it may show up some backgrounds, or I can show you how to add a background. So I actually have some pictures. So I just went through and added pictures that I had just saved off of Google. I just searched yesterday, my class, we did Arctic. So today when I did my morning meeting, we did an Arctic background. So I saved an image of an Arctic onto my desktop, and then I selected that image when I did this. So I already have that saved in here. So now it'll show up to my students that it looks like I'm in the Arctic, which is kind of cool. And it's nice if you don't have a nice just white background behind you. So your students don't see like if your house is a mess or something like that, or someone's in the background. So that's kind of helpful. And the only other setting that I think is kind of cool, if you go to video settings, you can click on this, check this box that says touch up my appearance. That'll just kind of give you like a nice, smooth, even face, which right now when we're at home all the time, we might not be putting on makeup. So that's kind of a nice feature. Not necessary, but something you could do if you want to. So those are the only two settings that I think are really important. Now over here, manage participants. So if you don't see the participants on the sides, you can click manage participants. Now I can see everybody. Now I can specifically unmute certain students. I can also rename them. So some of my students, they come in with their parents' name. So I can change it if I want them to come up with their own name. It'll just change the name that appears underneath their picture. So that's nice. Especially it can be confusing if, your student Sam is coming up as David. That can be a little confusing. Other important features, we have mute all. This will mute all their microphones at one time. If you click on this, I would recommend you unchecking that box that allows them to unmute themselves. And then you click yes. That means no one will be able to talk until you would unmute them, which is right there. So now they're unmuted. If you want to just unmute a specific child, you can mute them all. Yes, and then let me see if I can turn on. Okay, now that this audio is on, I can unmute that student, or I can mute just that student. That's kind of nice. Now, some other cool features. If you go to share screen, you can share either your entire screen, which will show exactly what you're seeing on your computer, except for the Zoom screens. Or you can, so if you click that, now they can see my whole screen. Once you're sharing the screens, you can always pause the share or this stop share, and that will bring you back to your video. Now I can also share a whiteboard. This will allow me to draw or write on this board, which is very useful if you're doing them like a whole lesson with them. Okay. Now I stop that share. Now you can also choose to just share one document on your computer. So say I just wanted to share my PowerPoint, I don't want them to see the whole screen. They will not see this background that you're seeing. They are only going to see the document. So that's nice if you just want to share one thing with them. So we can stop that share. You can see the chat over here. And you can always ask them a question and they can put answers. So here's our recording. So I set this one to record and you can see it up here. You can actually pause the recording. If it's a specific part you don't want to record, that can be useful, especially if students are sharing and you don't want that to be shared out. Then you play it when you want it to go continue. If you decided that the part of the meeting that you want to be recorded is over, then you can always click the stop recording and it will stop the recording. And then I'll show you at the end of the meeting what will happen to the recording once it's done. You also have the reactions where they can give you thumbs up or applause. Just kind of a good way to see where your students are. When you're all done, you're going to end the meeting. You can either leave the meeting, which will leave it open for students to continue the meeting, or you can end the meeting for all. Now you can see it is converting my meeting recording. So this is going to convert it into an MP4 file. This is going to save the file directly onto your computer, and then you can share that file out with students. Depending on how long it is, it might be a rather large file, but you can share that out. So this is going to take a little while for it to convert. I will make one more video after this just to show you the breakout room feature, since it's a little bit complicated unless you're really interested in it. I will make one more video to show you how to utilize the breakout rooms. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. But those are the features that I think are going to be most useful to you. So I would just set up your first meeting. I promise you that it's super user-friendly for students. The only thing some students had trouble for, you may have to remind them, like say, oh, is there a thing at the bottom of your screen that says start video? Because some of them, it won't start their video right away. They might need to start video, or they might need to click on that audio to get their audio started. But after a couple of days, it should get everything started for you. So I'm going to save this to my desktop. I'm just going to save it right on my desktop. Okay, here is my file right here. It's it saves as Zoom_0. I can rename it morning meeting 323. Okay, now I have my file saved. Now you can just add this file onto an email and send it to any students that weren't able to make it there. So that's nice, especially gives parents the flexibility if they have multiple students or if they are still essential personnel who's working and they aren't able to make it at the assigned time of your meeting, that the students will still have access to your lessons or the morning meeting so they can still stay connected and see some face-to-face with their teacher and their classmates. I'm not opening my file right now. But that's kind of a nice feature too. Awesome. So I think that's it for Zoom. But I'll send out that last file about the breakout rooms in a few minutes.